Ashes Day. What? Oh.
MeToo, your go-to app for free streaming. On this Friday night, Twitter's ever-changing rulebook had the latest round of suspensions has users scrambling and regulators on alert.
The move sets a dangerous precedent.
And the new warning for parents about another social client. Another round. Power plants. The bitter cold and devastation. The massive cleanup effort underway after a giant aquarium crumbles. Plus, the Canadian atop the slam poetry world.
Swing that only knows the embrace of wind.
How this global champion hopes to raise the profile of a lesser-known art form.
National. Oh, I don't know, sir.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Since Elon Musk, one of the richest people in the world, on Twitter 2 months ago, users have been feeling regular whiplash after frequent changes to its policy that seem to happen on the fly. But this latest controversy surrounding the social media giant goes deeper. When Musk, a self-described free speech absolutist, originally announced he wanted to buy Twitter, he tweeted his hopes that even his own could stay on the platform because that's what free speech is.
I thought I had COVID about 3 times. I'm one of those idiots, but I think I have it. Can you feel?
I'm bad with pain, too. Like, the other day I hit my elbow right on that spot where if I had a gun, I'd be dead now. You know, I can't do pain. That's why I could never be a cop. I couldn't walk around with a gun right here. There's 50 things a day where I'd be like, fuck that ain't working. That's my main problem, by the way, with the whole defund the police idea. What about people that want to commit suicide by cop? What about them? Anyway, we'll put a pin in that, but... We had a lot of protests in New York, and now we have protesters that just live here. They're not at a protest, they're just here. I saw a protester in the Washington Square Park. She had green hair and dirty legs. And she's holding a little piece of cardboard. And it's with a Sharpie that said, abolish billionaires. And she's standing there. And I thought, I don't think it's good. It doesn't feel like that's going to result. Jeff Bezos, what's happening? I mean, sadly, it's going to be okay for me. I thought it was good how young people got out there and they expressed themselves. They went out there to solve a lot of problems. Not all of the problems, but some of them. They went out there to stop discrimination. Not all discrimination. Just some of it, which is a weird form of discrimination. But there are groups that are discriminated against who don't have any protesters or any people working for them. And we all discriminate against these people, like ugly people. Everybody discriminates against ugly people. They do, and it's awful. I mean, I'd rather be discriminated against for my race than for being ugly. Because you might not lose a job or a promotion, but nobody kisses you on the lips like your whole fucking life. Like, try that. This is what we say to ugly people. We don't like your face. Just don't like it. So no one's going to fall in love with you, and it's unanimous. Sorry. And we just expect ugly people to be like, oh, no, I understand. I mean, sure. My head shape is no good for you, so I'll go without the things that matter in life. Also, overweight people. Overweight people deal with things that none of us deal with, because I'm not overweight. There's people who are discriminated against because of their weight. I read a story once about a woman who was 600 pounds, and she couldn't get medical care, because everything she goes to the doctor, he just says it's because she's fat, everything. She's like, my knees hurt. He's like, yeah, my knees hurt just looking at you. Which thing was She's like, I have chest pains. He says, yeah, because your organs are sensitive, so they were hurting. She's like, I got shot in the head. He's like, yeah, because you're fucking fat. So
Wow.
It's a terrible story. Here's the worst part of the story, and this is true. This is true. She needed an MRI because she had something serious. She's 600 pounds. She doesn't fit in the machine. You know what they did? They sent her to the zoo. I'm not kidding. They sent her to the fucking zoo. That's what we do for fat people. We need an MRI. Hey, here's a prescription. Go to the zoo. Yeah, that's where you should go. You should go to the zoo. By the way, you know how many fat people we have in this country? About 600 trillion billion thousands of them. You know how many trans people there are? About 38. But if you're trans and you need a restroom and it's awkward, we'll change every restroom. But if you're fat and you need an MRI, you go to the zoo, you fat bitch. Just go to the zoo. You go experience that today. What happens when she gets to the zoo? What actually fucking happens when she arrives at the zoo? Hi. Are you here to see the monkeys? No, I'm here for an MRI. Oh, shit. All right. Yeah. Okay, just stand in the straw over here. Yeah. You're after the walrus who has lymphoma. By the way, why is there an MRI machine at the fucking zoo? Who was developing that instead of a fat human being MRI? Who's paying for this shit? You don't give an elephant a fucking magnetic resonance image test? Are you fucking high? That's obscene. If an elephant is sick, you just listen. You do this thing. Misa thinks she's gonna die today. I'm saying this out of respect for elephants, by the way, because we're supposed to respect how they live. They don't fucking cure their diseases. This is not their culture. This is our word. Let's fix it. Oh, he's sick. That's not how elephants live. An elephant in the Serengeti isn't like, I have a lump, I have to see my oncologist. When an elephant gets cancer, he falls over, he takes his fucking turn and becomes food. You don't put an elephant in a state-of-the-art... What if you find cancer? What, are you going to give him chemotherapy? Skinny elephant with a pink baseball hat? Each day is a gift.
okay? What seems to be the problem? I've been depressed for a few weeks and nothing seems to help. And where are you feeling that? I don't know, I guess mostly my mind, kind of my body. Which side? Both, I guess. And does it get worse when you bend over? I don't think so. Why? To make sure it's not a slip disc. But this sounds like good old-fashioned depression. Yeah. What kills but less effective is where we put you on a course of antidepressants. And what's the second option? Assisted suicide therapy. Sorry, you're forgiven. No, did you say assisted suicide? Yeah, it's where instead of addressing the symptom of depression, we take care of the root cause, which is you being alive. It's a more holistic approach. You're talking about killing me? No. You're completely missing the context. We're talking about killing you for your own good. I don't want that.
I don't want that.
Seems like you're going down a dangerous path of self-destruction here, mister. What? Without making you not alive any more medical treatment, you're guaranteed not to feel depressed anymore. That's not the recommended treatment. No, I'll just do the antidepressant option. Great, I'll put you down for some assisted suicide. No, that's not what I want to do. Oh, I thought you said yes, definitely put me down for assisted suicide. No, I'll just do the antidepressants. I don't want to be killed. That's much worse than being depressed. I'm glad you clarified. Kind of a close call. Yeah, okay. I'll get you on your costly... I failed you. I'll explore after you right now. Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Think about that.
What do you have going on today? Yeah. I've got this carpal tunnel pain from being on my computer all the time. It's really bothering. Let me take a look here. Does it hurt when I do this? No. This? No. How about this? Not really. Yes. Well, that should be pretty simple to treat. What I recommend we do for your wrist is some assisted suicide. What's that? It's where we kill you with your consent to take care of your health problem. It's very cost effective. Wow. That sounds drastic. Well, your wrists do hurt, don't they? Yeah. So it's just what we recommend. You know what? My wrists are feeling better all of a sudden. Wow. This is really a miracle. I don't think I'll be requiring any further treatment. That is too bad. Are you sure? Yeah.
That is too bad.
I feel pretty amazing now. Well, do you want to do it anyway? No, I love the offer, but I think I'll pass just this one time. All right, but if they start bothering you again, come right back in. Sure thing, because eventually... So yeah, I sprained my ankle pretty bad playing hockey. Well, we all like hockey, don't we? Yes, we certainly do. Let me have a look at your x-ray here. Is that a drawing of my ankle? Yeah, it's how we do it now. X-rays are expensive, and our socialized healthcare system doesn't want to fund those, so this is the second best option. Yep, and here's the problem here. You can see how this ligament comes down to the attachment point of this heart thing down here? You mean the bone? Yeah, I think that's what they're called, and the ligament has a partial tear down there. So, is this a surgery kind of thing? This kind of injury responds better to assisted suicide. What? I don't want to commit suicide. You won't have to. We'll assist you. Why would I possibly want to do that? Because of your ankle. I thought you said it was hurting. Yeah, but I came in here with a sprained ankle, and you're trying to talk me into dying here. I have a minor problem. If you're trying to inflict the biggest problem imaginable on me as a solution, why can't I just have surgery for it? Surgery is very expensive on the healthcare system. So it turns out that just offing patients is a more cost-effective approach. But we have socialized healthcare, which means I've paid enormous amounts of taxes into the system, and somehow the system can't afford to pay for simple care for me. Yeah, we definitely thought socialism and healthcare would work. Weird how it's not, though. So the government would rather put me to death instead of paying for healthcare with my own taxes that I paid in? Now you get it. So you're telling me my own government would rather have me killed than spend any money on me? The realities of socialism oddly turn out the way they always have. But for the good of the whole, of course. This seems criminal. Will Tuesday the 7th work for you? For what? Your assisted suicide treatment? No! How about Wednesday the 8th? I'm not gonna do it. Come on. No. Oh, we got quotas is to fail. With it. As a doctor, I thought you took an oath to save lives and to do no harm. Well, yeah, but you know how this is kind of the opposite of that? Yeah. So that kind of makes it the same thing. Just two sides of the same coin. That is psychotic. So will Thursday the 9th work for you? Okay, great. Just sign here. So, you're sure that dying is in my best interest? I'm a doctor. Trust me. Okay. I trust you. Fantastic. This is going to be so much fun. But until then, let me write you a prescription for that ankle pain to help hold you over. You will never believe this, but I'm currently experiencing a big shadow ban by big tech. A lot of people who want to see my videos simply aren't seeing them. So if you're seeing this video and want to ensure that you see all my videos and stay connected with me, I'd love to have you join my email list. You can do that at awakenwithjp.com, and it ensures you and I stay connected.
Trouvez le cadeau parfait. Rien ne serait mieux illuminé vos fêtes. Car seul le cadeau parfait peut créer autant d'étincelles. Trouvez tous les cadeaux qui illumineront vos fêtes.
Ow. Ow. Why?
Even if TikTok is this potential window into some of our personal information on our phone, do you think there's a real threat there?
I do, and I've challenged senators and congressmen to really start taking action on looking into this. We have a foreign state, we have a foreign adversary, right? China and U.S. relations, at least I can stand on this from the United States perspective, are not great. And we know that they have military operations, economic operations that are operating through cyberspace. The Chinese government has a stake inside of ByteDance, which is a company that put out TikTok. TikTok can aggregate an immense amount of data on U.S. citizens and be able to start determining actions, intent, willfulness, and really behavior to be able to then bring back and aggregate and analyze and use in either a political, economic, or potentially a military way. So it very much is an issue for U.S. citizens. I think any citizen should be concerned about. They also have the ability to influence the algorithm and what you're being shown. Those Russian activities show things drastically different than other parts of the world. So the ability to show certain information and suppress other information, to be able to sway people, is very real, and it now sits on the phone, right? And everybody's eyeballs are on these things. So I still think it is very much a concern to be addressed.
So we have 1 minute left, so 30 seconds to each of you, and I'll begin with you, Alana. A lot of people watching are parents, so they're concerned about their kids on TikTok or themselves on TikTok. Do you suggest that if people have concerns about the things that you guys have raised, they should shut it down, or what's kind of one thing they can do to make it safe?
Shutting down an application just leaves room for other applications to make carbon copies of that application, as well as for younger people to learn how to circumvent those rules, such as, for example, like people using VPNs for Netflix. So I think it's more important to educate people how to use this as a safely use TikTok as a social media tool, rather than try to take it away from them and potentially
Yeah, and Brian, your advice, shut down TikTok, or what should we do to be safe?
So removal of this application is not going to happen unless we're having a good conversation with Google and with Apple about moving it to the App Store. I think with anything else, and as a parent, that conversation needs to happen. How this is often used as social media. At the very least, the only way to take away from this conversation today is relook at the permissions that you authorize to talk to your phone. You know that it's accessing your camera, your microphone, your history, information that's on your phone that you didn't realize. Turn those off. Have that discussion and make that part of the education that I agree with a lot of.
Well, it's great hearing from both of you. I feel like we're going to have this conversation again, and we should. But thanks for talking to us about it.
Thank you.
As companies try to reach a deal of conflict, Biodiversity Conference in Montreal, Canada's environment minister says he's confident we can achieve very high level of competition. Up next, Storms speaks to Stephen Full about his move from activism to politics and the compromises he's had to make. Plus, PEI toddler made it home for the holidays after a heart transplant. That's a little later.
Did he really? That's fucked up, man. That's fucked up.
Some more suspicious activity coming from the Bank of Montreal this time, and some of it is absolutely hilarious, I think. Please try and stay to the end of this video just because there's some interesting news also from the Canadian banking regulator, which is kind of interesting. So let's take a look at this. Bank of Montreal announces offering of common shares for gross proceeds of 3.15 billion following the increased cost to the domestic stability fund. So essentially what's happened is the Canadian bank regulator, OSFI, has increased the amount that banks need to have cash on hand, essentially, in case there is some sort of crisis or emergency. And there's certain portions of cash that they have to hold for different kinds of assets depending on their risk level, and basically they've just increased that a little bit. Now the thing is, it's absolutely ridiculous how low it is anyways, so the fact that they've increased it is no saving grace at all. But it's kind of interesting the way BMO has gone about getting the funds, because it makes no sense when you look at their financials, as I will show you. So and that kind of begs the question, what is going on at BMO? Because it makes no sense that they would do like a share offering. It's not as if their stock price is actually really, really high right now. It's actually down like 20%, I think, or even more off the highs, but it's definitely down around 20% year over year. At $3 billion, they have a market cap of $83 billion. So, it's not a tiny stock sale by any amount of imagination. So it's kind of interesting that this is happening. It's hilarious if you're a BMO shareholder, you're literally just getting screwed. Especially, it's just funny how BMO has done this
and essentially here we have the banks. There's again in full force. They're not afraid. If you're a recent shareholder of BMO, you're just getting dumped on by the bank when they supposedly have the cash, and this is what makes no sense. So I'm going to show you right now. This shows you where their stock is at. So if we go to a yearly chart, Yahoo Finance has completely changed since I last logged in here, and you can see that it's down significantly. Like the high was around 153, the stock price is down around 122. But if we go over to the key statistics, this is what I want to show you, which is really interesting right now. Like all the Canadian banks, we're going to do a comparison between a Canadian bank and an American bank just to show you how insane the leverage is. It's just going to blow your mind. I mean, it's not like saying the American banks are the best thing in the world because they've had a banking crisis before. And interestingly enough, when you look at the debt to equity ratio that BMO has, it's sitting around 3.094. Guess what? The Bank of America's debt to equity ratio peaked at during 2007, right before the global financial crisis. It peaked at around 2.8. So this bank has a debt to equity ratio of around 3. So it's higher than that, and it's at all-time highs, just like these other banks. Now, having said that, this bank is not actually as bad as some other banks, but there is some red flags that I have with this bank, and one is about the Chinese component. This bank operates in China. What sort of loans and dealings is it doing in China? Because we know the Chinese real estate market is a big part of the domestic economy in China, and that is a lot of part of where the lending has gone in China to do with banking. So I think it's kind of alarming that they operate in China, and they're not the only ones. The Bank of Nova Scotia is also operating in China, giving out loans as well. So it's interesting. If you look at the amount of cash, well, this is actually the amount of loans, because I wanted to show you the amount of loans they have, because it's just absolutely insane. You've got to put these numbers into context and just think about how much money this really is. Like 3 billion is a lot of money, but we're talking about net loan assets of 551 billion. We're talking about $500 billion in loans. And just think about those numbers. Just think about how much 3 billion is. Like that's 1,000 billion. It's over 1,000 billion. So it's like a lot. These numbers are just so huge. The math gets even difficult because you're dealing with that many zeros, and it's just insane when you really think about it. It's unbelievable. 551 billion. Again, it's an all-time high. Why is it an all-time high? Well, if you look at household debt, it's also at the highs as well, even though it's come off a little bit right now and it's peaked, which is not a good sign. When you see household debt peak, that is just not a good sign at all. So next thing, we're going to go over to their long-term debt. They have $96 billion in long-term debt. Again, this is practically at all-time highs. And it's not a good sign, again, that they have this amount. But one thing I wanted to show you as well is if you actually go to their financials here, and we go to their balance sheet, you can see that they actually have quite a lot of cash. And this is what makes no sense to me. They've got $93 billion in cash equivalent, but they've got 85 billion right here in cash. So why is the bank doing like a public, like issuing shares, essentially diluting the stock price when they have cash on hand? That doesn't make any sense to me, and it's kind of a little bit suspicious. All the other banks aren't doing this, as far as I'm aware. At least they haven't announced it yet. So it's very, very suspicious that they've decided to do a share offering as opposed to just taking $3 billion out of the cash they already have. So something that's kind of a red flag in my head that something may be going on there, and it may be nothing. It may be nothing going on. This may be much ado about nothing. But it seems awfully suspicious that they would do that. And we have to raise questions when it comes to these banks, because these banks are banksters, essentially. They act like gangs. They're like, and the way they move numbers around on their balance sheet and inflate their assets is almost criminal, but it's not, unfortunately. The amount of cash they hold compared to the amount of loans they have, it's absolutely insane. You got 85 billion in cash. You got over $500 billion in loans. And think about that for a second, because that is actually high for a Canadian bank. When we looked at CIBC the other day, I highly urge you to go watch that video if you haven't seen it, because that shows you again like how that bank is even in a worse position than this bank right here. So again, it's absolutely insane. So let's flip over to this. So this is what caused this to happen in Canadian.
Find it something wild to take, but something wild to run. Robert Braun. This now travels to the ultimate. Someone wants to get married. We can afford to go official. Our love is larger than life, so we want to take place where life is the largest. The night sky shines brighter than ever seen. Some nights are similar to iconic. Getting married on a long-road trip. Someone else, a little unexpected. Adventurous, sentimental. Exploring Las Vegas Strip is exciting. Staring up at the stars. And all the while, excited person. How every second, 7 days out of my life, why choosing to spend the rest of my life? Everything about life is better when you're by my side. Because at the end of the day, it's about who you want riding shotgun on the road trip. Who's going to be your DJ, the map. Big adventures and little moments. Who you're willing to go on a horseback riding trip with, even though you're a little afraid of horses. Who gives you the courage to take the leap? We've made the most incredible memories here. And I know for our first big anniversary, we'll definitely be coming back.
Get what you want when you want it. How about a classic Big Mac or a new McDonald's McCrispy? And top it off with a McFlurry.
The regulator raised banks' domestic stability buffer to 3%, right? Because that's so much, that's really going to stop a banking.
This guy's garage. Right. So, colleagues, we've now had 6 meetings at this committee at clause by clause, and we are still stuck on clause 1. We're still stuck on the very same amendment we were 6 meetings ago. It's hardly a tale of parliamentary efficiency or effective use of tax dollars, and I think the Canadian public rightly understand that. I haven't had a chance to put my voice on the record on this hold, so I'm going to ask my colleagues to indulge me for a bit because I have a few things that I want to get on the record. First of all, what I would like to say is that in politics, as in life, trust is easily broken, but it's extremely hard to repair. The way this amendment landed has frankly been a complete and total abuse process. And, you know, the reason why we're hung up here is because we as committee members, with our limited resources, especially on the opposition side, are now being asked to do a tremendous amount of extra work on a bill that should have been done by the government side. To land this amendment on our lap at the 11th hour, after we've completed witness testimony, I had no chance whatsoever to tailor my committee strategy based on an amendment that's going to affect long guns. And I'll tell you what, the irony of all of this, because I know how important Bill C-21 was to this government, the irony is that if this amendment hadn't been dropped at the 11th hour, we'd be having a very different conversation right now. We'd be talking probably about how C-21 was sent off to the Senate, and we would be conducting important work on C-20. That's being held up by this mess, again, of the government's own creation. C-20 is an important piece of legislation that's going to create much-needed oversight, transparency, and accountability to the RCMP and the CDSA. That's something we've been talking now for 7 years. So, you know, I know there's frustration on all sides, but this was brought about by the government. It should have been anticipated, because it's like the Newtonian laws of politics. For every action, there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction. And I have to tell you that correspondence-wise, you know, I've talked to colleagues from all parties, but some members of my caucus, they had not received one single piece of correspondence on C-21 until this amendment dropped. And now it's making up half their correspondence. The way it was rolled out is going to be a textbook example for future generations on what not to do. On what not to do for how you amend your own bill, communication strategy, the list is long. So I need to get on the record just how displeased I am, because I think it took for granted the important work we've been able to do with this committee. And just to underline, Mr. Chair, just how egregious this was. You know, as soon as the amendment came to our attention, I had my legislative assistant contact the Library of Parliament, because we wanted to get a sense of how sub-amendment G, how that was going to impact firearms models. We also wanted to get a sense of how the scheduled list.
Me2, your go-to app for free streaming. With 3 times fewer ads than cable, Tubi has over 40,000 movies and shows. Enjoy Hollywood hits, classics, and originals. Tubi also features live news and some of your favorite sports networks. With no credit cards or passwords needed. Watch at home or on the go. Download Tubi and start watching today.
Was going to compare with the May 2020 OIC, and you know, our analysts, to their immense credit, produced a pretty amazing document, a very long Excel spreadsheet. But they warned us that it was going to be incomplete because they right away checked with the Justice Department, and they confirmed that there was no such analysis to share with the Library of Parliament. So here you have a government dropping this amendment on our lap, and their own department has not done an impact analysis. And we're expected to suddenly take this work up with our limited resources of the opposition. That is a simple no-go. And in fact, Mr. Chair, I want to reference this because I do know when C-21 was introduced on May the 30th, I think it was in an exchange with reporters, Minister Mendicino did make mention of an amendment they were thinking of bringing to the bill, which begs the question, I mean, why did the bill have to be introduced on May 30th if already at that point they were thinking of an amendment? In the very first meeting that we had the minister for the first hour, and we had departmental officials in the second hour. And I've got it right here, Mr. Speaker. I asked the Assistant Deputy Minister, Talal Dakalba, and I asked him, in the last minute questioning I had about the May 30th announcement, I asked about, what is this amendment? Can you inform the committee of which specific section of C21 you're seeking to amend, what it's going to look like, so we can have some heads up notice on this? And his response, Mr. Chair, was, quote, the only thing I could say is that you heard the same thing I did from the minister on TV. I can't comment any further on that one. I'm sorry about that. So an assistant deputy minister, square one, very first meeting, is unable to comment on what is eventually going to be a huge amendment to a bill. So after that, given that the assistant deputy minister, pretty high official in the department, is unable to provide details to me as a committee member, and I'm supposed to do my due diligence on a bill, is unable to provide that information, I dropped it. Because there were other things in the bill, tangential things that I could see, comment on, things that I had had the chance over the summer of this year to actually speak to my constituents about. I made the effort this summer to visit the Victoria Fish and Game Protective Association. I had some very frank conversations with people about the handgun freeze, what that would mean, and I took their comments back with me to try and make some fixes based on that feedback. These are law-abiding constituents who simply want to be able to practice their sport. At no time, Mr. Speaker or Mr. Chair, did I talk to people about their hunting rifles or their hunting shotguns, because again, that wasn't in the bill. It was not defended by the Minister of Public Safety during second reading speech. I did not have the opportunity during questions and comments to ask the Minister about that. I did not have the chance during my own second reading speech to talk about these things because they were not in the bill. So a complete abusive process. And I have to say, front page news. The Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses issued a warning that proposed payroll tax hikes next year will result in every Canadian seeing $305 less in take-home pay on the first day of the new year. And again, Canadians are asking, just when exactly would the Trudeau government give Canadian citizens a break? From January 1, premiums would increase by 7.3%, which will result in an increase of up to $255 in additional contributions for each employee. And at the same time, the same day will apparently see the premiums for employment insurance increase by 5.2%. Moreover, according to the regulations, the maximum additional amount that an employee will pay in employment benefits and CPP contributions is $304.71. In reaction to the statement, the president of the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses, Ian Kelly, expressed that higher payroll tax rates will negatively impact Canadians at a time when the majority of them are already seeing a rapid increase in their cost of living. Kelly explained that even though it might not appear to be much, $300 is enough money for one family to take a trip to the grocery store, pay their transportation and utility bills, or pay their mortgage or rent. Similarly, the price increases will also have an impact on the country's small enterprises. The economy is already in a precarious state with
Mercedes-Benz Silver Star. Choose from the area's best selection of Mercedes-Benz models. Shop Mercedes-Benz Silver Star for the gifts that don't fit under the tree. Visit mercedes-benzsilverstar.ca.
I was in upstate New York, in a small town, and I was standing in front of a drugstore. And in the window of the drugstore, they had a wheelchair on display in the window. Is that really an impulse purchase? I should get a wheelchair. That would really help with my paralysis. Then I wouldn't have to drag myself everywhere I go, like I've been doing for 10 years since my legs were blown off at the marathon. Okay. Bunch of fucking hypocrites, apparently. Because, let me point some out to you. Motherfuckers. You were just like seconds ago laughing at a dull legs crawling on the ground. You're just. And then at the end, you're like, oh, but not those particular legless people. We thought you meant just some asshole with a childhood disease. Deserves to be laughed at. Not one of those. Now we're laughing at all legless people equally. However you lost your legs. Ha ha ha. You haven't legs. And we've legs. I have legs. I have 2 legs. 2 fucking legs. That's the maximum amount. I fucking love having 2 legs. I fucking love it. I wouldn't like having no legs. I really don't think I would like it. I think it would suck. I think it would suck shit out of the balls of Christ. It's an old Southern expression. It's not used like it used to be. I think 2 legs is better than none. That's what I think.
Oh.
That's just my opinion. It's not popular. You're not supposed to say that. You're supposed to always be very positive about disabled people. But I think that puts pressure on them to be positive. What if they don't want to be? Because the only story we want to hear is about the amazing disabled people. He's amazing. He lost his legs and then he won the leg having contest. What about disabled people who aren't amazing? We're just ordinary with a sweatshirt and some potato chips. He's going, fuck, I wish I had legs. Now this is better. It's better with no leg. Why is it better? Because you can do anything now. I can do 4 things. Fuck off. I just don't know that our positive, non-disabled attitude really helps. Like retarded people. We're going to talk about retarded people for 20 minutes. That's what it's going to happen. We're going to discuss retarded people. Retarded to insult them? What would be the point of that? That'd be like going up to a chair and taking your fucking chair. No. People use it on their friends. Do you know that? In that moment, no one retarded is insulted. They're not. Do you know why? Because they're not there. Because we don't include them in our lives. They're not at the bar. How many of you have a retarded drinking buddy that you hang out with? No, you take them to the zoo when they're little and then fuck them. This is what I find confusing about this thing is that we told generations of people that they are retarded. We told them that that's what they are, and they lived with it. They dealt with it. And then we just decided it's a bad word. So did we tell them this? Did we go back to them and explain this to them? Listen, Nelson, I have something to tell you. You're not retarded anymore. You mean I'm cured? No. No, we're not even working on it.
Your go-to app for free streaming. With 3 times fewer ads than cable, Tubi has over 40,000 movies and shows. Enjoy Hollywood hits, classics, and originals. Tubi also features live news and some of your favorite sports networks. No credit cards or passwords needed. Watch at home or on the go. Download Tubi and start watching today.
You ever meet somebody and they're so boring, you feel like they poisoned you? You're talking to them and you're like, I feel like I'm dying right now. I think you did it. This guy's name is Craig. I met him. I made sure to get it. I'm going to remember you for the rest of my life, man. I met him at the bank. Is he a bank teller? No. Is he a security guard? Nope. What's his job? I don't know. Whatever they call that guy that stands in the lobby of banks now, where like you walk in and you're like, do you work here? And he's like, I think so. That guy? The lobby liaison? Well, I saw him. We made eye contact. I don't know how you work. For me, if we make eye contact during the day, not at night, but during the day, out of human decency, I acknowledge you. So that's what I did. We made eye contact, and I go, how you doing? And he went. And I was like, okay. So then I get to the second set of doors to walk in, and as I reach for that door, I hear, you going to the bank? next week. Are you telling me that? He goes, you said, how you doing when you got here? I had to think about it. That's what I'm doing. I go, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard anybody say. And also not how that question works, but all right. Anyhow? Yes.
This is a very technical question, so I hope you'll bear with me, but there seems to be confusion in the gun control, gun rights community around what the definition that you brought forward actually means. And it's particularly around the terminology for design. That is, the guns that would be prohibited would be designed to have a detachable magazine of 5
For which it was originally designed.
Yeah, but that's exactly it. So the legal definition that you propose does not say originally designed, it says design. And so people think that it would ban virtually all semi-automatic centerfire rifles because all of them have this aftermarket magazine.
Yeah.
Can you please clarify if it's intended to be originally designed, i.e. the original design of that gun, and therefore much more restricted? Can you please clarify that?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you are touching on one of the real intricacies around which constitutes the provision, which is designed, the rationale of the provision is to move forward with a model agnostic approach around creating a zone that is going to capture style rifles. And we think that by having this provision in place, two very positive objectives will be reached. The first is that we move away from cherry picking models, which can be politicized, obviously, as we said yesterday. We want to take the politics out of this. We want to put temperature down and have a responsible, civilized debate, which is based on facts as opposed to fear or disinformation. And the second thing is that by entrenching this provision into the law, as opposed to just using the administrative instrument like the Order of the Council, it will have a more enduring and lasting effect, so that future governments.
So you're not answering my question. Can you answer the question on the definition? Are you going to change the shape of the economic?
So I don't want to preempt the work of the committee. Okay?
What is your government's intention? That's the question. Is your government's intention to ban virtually all semi-automatic centerfire rifles, or is it to ban the ones that are more restricted through the additional work of originally designed?
Well, so again, I don't want to preempt the work of the committee. The committee is studying the definition. They're hearing from experts on how we have created those objective criteria. So, for example, muzzle force, the bore diameter, the semi-automatic. I was.
What your government's intent was. I'm asking you to clarify the intent.
And we want to be sure that we get the language completely in line with the intent. Which is just, I'm describing what the criteria are, including the last one around magazine, cartridge capacity, to be eligible for the receipt by a gun. So that is precisely what we're moving forward with.
And is it originally designed, or is it not? What is the intent?
I believe that the intent is originally designed, and making sure that we get clarification about that, but I also don't want to preempt the evidence that will come forward by experts in law enforcement who have looked at these objective criteria, make sure that we get the correct.
And just on that, Mr. On the list of buyers, he also.
I'll come back there. I just want to get checks here.
Are your lawyers looking at what to do about that does as long as you're not fighting about that? Looks like they're both like that.
Well, so let me say what I said in French a little bit earlier. In the first instance, Bill C-21's goal is to reduce gun violence with common sense policies like the national handgun freeze, red flag, yellow flag protocols, additional tools for law enforcement to go after hardened gun traffickers. There's a lot of good policy that has been informed by the advice and the consultation that we've had from law enforcement, from industry leaders, from Canadians across the spectrum. With regards to Alberta, we'll wait and see what they say, but it has been a resolved matter of Supreme Court jurisprudence that when it comes to the regulation of firearms, that falls within the jurisdiction of the federal government, and we obviously cooperate with the provinces.
We are ready to further increase healthcare investment through the Canada Health Transfer. In addition, we are ready to invest more in
Ah. Wow, fucking dicks. Fucking douchebags.
I'm sorry. I'm having
From the top.
There's some people in this chamber that like the number 3. So when I'm prime minister, I will keep my promise. But let me try again. There's another promise the prime minister made that would certainly help in this healthcare crisis. He promised a guaranteed wage of at least $25 an hour for long-term care workers. Now, this would help free up spaces at the hospital so seniors could go into a long-term care home and get the proper respect and treatment that they need. Now, did the prime minister mean what he said, or was he hoping that a fight with the provinces would mean that he wouldn't have to deliver on this promise either? Yeah. workers who, while all of us can take a little time away from our work, with our families, with our communities, are going to be continuing to work long hours in hospitals, in senior care homes. We're going to continue to work with the provinces in terms of making sure that wages are raised for our frontline workers. The federal government will be there to do its part. We need to make sure we're recognizing those people who are heroes day in and day out to care for our most vulnerable.
Une des poutines préférées du restaurant La Banquise, c'est la savoyarde, composée d'une poutine classique, des frites dorées, fromage fruit. On va y mettre du bacon, des oignons caramélisés, fromage suisse et de la crème sûre pour compléter le tout. La poutine savoyarde est rendue dans le top 5. C'est une belle poutine qui a pris du temps à se faire découvrir, mais elle a vraiment son succès.
Our next guest is described as a ridiculously accomplished author, screenwriter, and novelist. I'm jealous. His name is Michael Walsh, and he's the author of Against the Great Reset, a certainly timely and necessary book where Michael Walsh has gathered critical perspective on the Great Reset. You've heard us discuss it here many times from 18 writers and journalists from around the world. Michael joins us now. Michael, great to see you. Thanks for coming on the show. Let's just kick off for those who aren't really aware of it. What exactly is the Great Reset and who is behind it?
The Great Reset, you don't have to take my word for it, you take their word for it. You go on the WEForum.com, I believe is their website, that is the World Economic Forum based in Switzerland. And there you can read all about the Great Reset, which effectively can be summed up in their own phrase. Remember, this is not some crazed right-wing conspiracy theory. We're just quoting them as the libs of TikTok do, occasionally spend that band on Twitter. We've just quoted them in their own words, which is you will own nothing and be happy. So if you guys think that's a great idea, sign right on to the Great Reset. But we've come at it from 18 different directions, and we hope we've put a big hole in it right now, and we hope that this book will be widely available across the world. It will be going out to politicians and influential people in all of the Anglophonic countries, that people need to be aware of what exactly this neo-fascist consortium of business leaders and government has in store for us.
So who funds the World Economic Forum? Where does their power come from?
The media. I mean, that's the short answer. It's been blown up because the media is in love with power, as you guys know from your experience in Australia. I see it here in the States. I'm about to go home to Ireland at the end of the week. I'll see it there as well. I'll see it in Central Europe when I'm in Germany throughout most of January. There has been a movement away from individuality and freedom towards do it because it's good for you or else. And so under Klaus Schwab, is in real life a vaudeville, but in private life is the head of WEF. Under him, it has become extremely influential. And I lost my tinfoil hat somewhere along the line during the COVID lockdowns, unfortunately. But you can note that King Charles III, or as we like to call him, King Charles of the House of Saxe-Coburg, Dakota, because he changes the name during the war. Mention it, please. And the other Germans who currently run Europe, including the Belgian Germans, the German Germans, the English Germans, and everybody else, they are on board with this notion that they know better than you do. And by God, you're going to learn to like it. So if you like that, if there are any Crocodile Dundees left in Australia, now's the time to hear from me, because they are going to force this down your throat.
James.
Michael, one of the things, it's great to have you on the show here, and one of the things that is fascinating to me about the Great Reset is how, as an idea, it perpetuates itself among a lot of people who like to think of themselves as elite without being, paid up members of the WEF or not having gone to the Global Leadership Forum or whatever the thing is that they do to train up people like our own health minister, Greg Hunt, during the pandemic. What is it about this that appeals to this kind of sense of, people's desire for a society run by a Platonic philosopher king? I think one of your essays puts it. And is how much of this power of this idea, the danger of it, is that it kind of metastasizes without needing that central coordination, because policymakers automatically fall into this idea that people can't be trusted, they need to be told what to do, and we're here to run their lives for them.
Yeah, well, listen, Napoleon, I think, said, I'd rather have an army of sheep led by a lion than an army of lions led by a sheep. And unfortunately, sheep aren't very good at leadership, but they're great at following. As I know every day in Ireland when I'm driving down the road, there's an entire flock of sheep in the middle of the street. And then they dutifully follow their shepherd into a nearby pasture. There's a desire to be controlled, to be ordered about the exchange of safety, of liberty for safety. So with the Great Reset, you have this structure that will be imposed and has been imposed. COVID was just the warning shot. They mean to make this a permanent thing.
And they're going to use the climate to do that.
Oh, well, the climate's the next thing. That was the warm-up for the climate. In the Against the Great Reset, we have a lovely essay by John Tierney, formerly of the New York Times, who, James, I think you probably have met at some point.
Absolutely.
Who takes apart the COVID-19 hysteria and calls it by its name. As you know, we were all banned from saying that. And I just got back on Twitter 3 days ago after being an early bannee. They kicked me off before they kicked off Donald Trump. And I think that's a pretty creditable thing to my account. We've got to face the fact that people aren't going to fight this. They like to be led. And so what George Bush said, the disgraceful George Bush, the second one, the first one was even more disgraceful, but we'll leave that. The second George Bush, who said the whole freedom speech that I forget, some Canadian wrote for him, I think, what was his name again? He'll come. Inside the human, everybody desires to be free is not true. Not true. Not true. And history proves it over and over and over and over again. The Brits put Napoleon on Elba, the powers in Europe did. He got out 15 minutes later, landed on France where he was a wanted man, and immediately the French followed him right back all the way to Waterloo. So leadership is a terribly, terribly important thing. And that segues me into a subject that I think is interesting to Australia too. We're in a leadership crisis here in the United States. Yep. We're seeing the passage of the baton from Donald Trump to a man I had met at lunch with a couple of years back, who I think is the first real leader I've seen in American politics since Reagan, but in a way much more effective, and that's Ron DeSantis, who will be the nominee of the Republican Party. So we're going to see what real leadership can do versus what's the name of the President of the United States and abolition.
Close your eyes and picture a CEO. You're
It's 39% now. Wow. Corporate profits are taxed at the lowest rate in many, many decades. Wonderful. Regulations removed. Privatization, sell everything. Instead of the post office, we can have FedEx. Wonderful. All of which was spoken that would liberate our economy. What? Again, the history. In the 1950s and 60s, the top income tax bracket was in the 90%. We had lower unemployment and faster economic growth than we have now. The story is not we cut taxes on corporations and they really boosted. We cut taxes on corporations and we went in the toilet as an economy. Our growth is slow. 2014, our growth, averaged over the whole year, is 2.5%. Economic growth in the People's Republic of China, 7.5%. It's been that way
for 20 years. That's why China is now the second economy in the world. They've been growing very fast. They don't have free enterprise, poor folk. They don't have it. The government takes a heavy hand. And boy, does it pay off for them. I'm not arguing that we should be Chinese people or have their economy, but face the reality. We have run an economy in the interest of returning wealth to the rich and the corporations. Every statistic shows it. The top 10%, I know these numbers sometimes get blurry, but they're not complicated. The top 10% of Americans own 90% of the wealth. The other 90% share the other 10%. Got it? It's exact inverse. 10% own 90% of the world, of the wealth in this country. And the other 90% of us share the other 10%. The United States used to like to make fun of certain countries, particularly in Latin America, as, quote, banana republics because of this lopsided distribution. We are a banana republic. We have arrived at that exalted state. We can't call other people that name anymore because it bounces right back on us. That's the reality. And what do those people who've taken all the wealth by undoing the liberal programs of the 1930s, what do? They're not stupid. They figured something out which is elemental, and you have to have it in your mind just like they do. How do you get 10% of the people to own 90% of the wealth in a society that at least gives lip service to universal suffrage? Because then the 90% who don't have anything have the majority of the votes to control the government, and so sooner or later they're going to figure out, gee, we should use our majority in the political realm to undo the inequality that a capitalist economic system has delivered to us. We can use the power of the state to undo the inequality of capitalism. The rich people know that. It doesn't take rocket science. So what have they done? You know what they've done. They bought the political system.
Thank you!
In a perfect world, our public selves, the way I behave, the way I speak, the things I do, are the same as our private selves. At its best, public opinion holds a mirror to us and it reflects exactly who we are. What collective illusions do to that relationship is turn it into a funhouse of mirrors, which is fatal to free society. Collective illusions are situations where most people in a group go along with a view they don't agree with because they incorrectly believe that most people agree with it. It's not just that we're misreading a few people, it is that the majority thinks the majority believes something that they don't. We are all part of creating and sustaining the illusion. We've known about collective illusions for over 100 years. But here's the thing, our cultural and technological conditions have changed to make creating and sustaining collective illusions so easy that they've just proliferated at a scale we've never seen before in history. We have found them almost everywhere we look, from the kind of lives we want to live, to the country we want to live in, to the way we want to treat each other, and even what we expect out of our institutions. And our job is to dismantle them so that when we see ourselves in public opinion, we are seeing ourselves for who we really are. If you create the enabling conditions that allow everyday people to reveal who they really are to each other, social change can happen at a scale and pace that would otherwise seem unimaginable. And here's how we do that. My think tank Populus studies collective illusions and uses what we call private opinion methods, which are just methods that help reveal people's private views, free of social pressure and other distorting influences on public opinion.
And every question we ever ask, we always ask what the individual thinks and what they believe most people would say to that question. And that combination of methods helps surface collective illusions all across society. We have found them almost everywhere we look, from the kind of lives we want to live, to the country we live in, to the way we want to treat each other, and even what we expect out of our institutions, from education to the workplace. The most encouraging consequence is that an illusion in one generation tends to become the private opinion of the next generation. One of the most important collective illusions we've ever discovered has to do with the way that people define a successful life. It turns out that the vast majority of the American public believes that most people in the country care about wealth, status, power, when in fact, the opposite is true. The vast majority of the American public are focused on a more personal fulfillment orientation. But our kids are paying an incredible price because they do not understand that this is an illusion. They try to chase fame because they believe that's what other people will recognize as success. So if we do nothing about collective illusions now, our silence will virtually guarantee that our children and our grandchildren will have this view as their private opinion. We've known about collective illusions for over 100 years. And up until the last, say, 20 years, you could have probably counted on 2 hands and 2 feet the number of serious societal and collective illusions that had existed. Since then, that number has exploded. They affect society as a whole.
See what I just did?
We are all part
No,
of
I kicked the
creating a
pillow
sustainability
because I thought I was going to move it away from where I was walking.
Even when we fundamentally end up disagreeing, a truthful disagreement is always better than a collective illusion. Being aware that collective illusions exist is the starting point.
Is a bird on you?
The only way to discover those is the same way that you actually dismantle them. You gotta have conversations. You gotta talk to each other. If you understand that fact, then you create the enabling conditions that allow everyday people to reveal who they really are to each other. These illusions can crumble in and social change can happen at a scale and pace that would otherwise seem unimaginable.
Oh, is that icing? What's it made with? Icing powder. And?
Given the profound lack of trust in society today,
No vanilla?
we often look for the cause of that in each other.
Really good.
I don't believe that's true. Frederick Chandler is probably the most important person that most people have never heard of. Over 100 years ago,
We should put this in the fridge and
wrote a book
save
called
it.
Scientific Management, which they were about his ideas about how you create a productive economy. And he felt like the biggest problem in society was that we weren't very efficient. And so scientific management literally said, wait, the first thing you got to stop doing is trusting people. He went about implementing a systems-first approach to a top-down society governed by managers. In fact, he invented the term manager, and he made us all cogs where the system
That's really
works
good, man.
most. Because of the way our institutions treat us, by removing choice from us and fundamentally treating us as untrustworthy, we have come to see each other through that lens. But here's the thing. When you actually study honesty and trustworthiness, what you find over and over again is that the vast majority of people are in fact trustworthy. One of my favorite studies, it's a pretty famous German study. Here's what they did. They just randomly called people and said that there was a contest going on. And all they needed to do was flip a coin themselves. And if it landed on tails, they got a gift certificate. If it landed on heads, they got nothing. Now, what's important is nobody knows how the coin lands except for the person on the phone. So you would have expected everybody says tails, takes the gift certificate, and the accurate results are like, well, it's 100% tails. Who would have thought, right? It's not what happened. It was almost 50-50 heads or tails. And in fact, it was slightly more in favor of heads, which tells me most people, if not all people, the truth about how the coin landed when no one else could possibly have known. So it matters to us, not just that we are trustworthy, but that we are viewed that way. And yet we live in a society where our institutions continue to remind us that this is not true, that we are in some way untrustworthy. We can only interact with each other in one of two ways. We can trust people to make choices for themselves, or we can control those choices for them. It is a fundamental tenet of democracy that institutions serve people. But ever since Frederick Taylor, we have flipped that relationship. As a free people in a free society, it is unacceptable that our public institutions treat the people as distrustful. Because now we know that whatever efficiency you get from that top-down control model, the consequences in terms of human dignity and social trust are so damaging that that trade-off is not worth it. What we need is to trust communities to make decisions for themselves, trust families to make decisions for themselves, trust people too. If you want a trusting society, work to dislodge this top-down view of our institutions and give more power to people. Insist that our institutions treat the public with trust. One of the most important collective illusions that we've ever discovered has to do with the way that people define a successful life. We looked at the private opinions of the American public across 76 different attributes that could go into a successful life. Out of those 76, the vast majority of the American public believes that most people would rank fame as number one. There's just one problem. In private, it's actually dead last. It is 76th out of 76 possible attributes. We don't care about fame, but we believe that most everybody else cares about fame more than anything else.
Interesting.
Our public institutions are actually being built around a false view of what people want out of life. In our media, in our businesses, those people are also under the same exact illusions. We have commercials, we have movies and television shows all telling us that a successful life is about being famous. Now, the dominant thing that kids talk about is wanting to be famous. One kid I remember saying, I want 1 million followers. He couldn't tell you for what. He just wanted 1 million followers. We know that most people, even in the younger generation, do not privately value fame, but they are even more convinced than the older generations that most people do. They are internalizing the illusion as their own values, and that will become the dominant view in society in the future if we don't do something about it. Being aware that collective illusions exist is the starting point, and it comes down to us being honest about ourselves to each other. Populists ask, what does a fulfilling life mean to you? What we found was really astonishing. Out of those 76 trade-off priorities, in the thousands and thousands of people that we have studied, no two people were identical. Nobody can tell you what a successful life is. You have to discover that for yourself. It's about knowing who you are. If you want to understand whether the people you care about are pursuing a life that's not their own, ask them why they care about what they're doing. Why do you want to be famous? By having your ideas challenged, that gives you a better sense for who your true self is. If we recognize our true shared values, it fundamentally changes how we see one another. We now recognize that investing in each other, in enabling you to pursue the life you want to live, is actually better for you and for me.
Merci d'être venu, puis un gros bravo à tous vos enfants.
The greatest strength of social media is its democratizing tendency. We don't have to just look to elites and a few news outlets to tell us about us. We can actually communicate with each other. But when we engage online, we tend to think that we're interacting with a reasonable sample of the actual population. but it's not true. Close to 80% of all content on social media is generated by about 10% of the users. That 10% tends to be extreme on most social issues. They are the vocal fringe. When you have a vocal minority that is perceived as the majority, critical mass of us will actually either self-silence or we will actually go along to get along, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is how collective illusions form. It's not terribly surprising that some of the first people to start to use these tools to manipulate were leaders who need consensus to conserve power.
Venezuela no le temblará el pulso para combatir a los grupos terroristas.
An example of this is Nicolas Maduro, the leader of Venezuela. For a long time, it looked like on social media that he had a pretty good beat on the consensus of the people that he led. So almost everything that he would say, stories that were written about him that were positive, would be retweeted and shared, and it looked like this represented some kind of consensus. But it turned out a significant percentage of his so-called followers were actually what we call social bots. These are fake accounts that only exist to retweet anything positive about him or that he said, and importantly, to attack the opposition. When Twitter banned them, the real consensus was with the opposition. And that started to emerge and be retweeted as more and more people recognized that it was okay to say what they actually thought. Social media is a free-for-all in terms of who can shout the loudest and who can silence other people in the name of masquerading as a majority and manufacturing collective illusions. Your willingness to conform and your unwillingness to challenge what you think the group believes will actually contribute to leading the group astray. The solution to our online life is to get offline once in a while. Yeah. The most important thing you can do is continue to have conversations with your family, with your neighbors, with your community. Don't carry that distortion over into the way you treat people in real life. So this idea of conformity, it isn't just a choice. Every one of us as human beings is hardwired to prefer to be with our group. Human beings are not lone wolves or a pack species. On trials, when we deviated from the group, it triggered what scientists call an error signal. This cascading signal across your brain that is literally meant to short-circuit everything else, to tell you something is fundamentally wrong and you should pay attention. If you deviate from your group, you are actually punished. This conformity bias, sometimes it's been used for benevolent ends, right? One of my favorite examples of that comes from the story of the Bogota mimes. Bogota historically has had a lot of disobeying like traffic rules. Everybody jaywalks, nobody stops at lights. Several years ago, they got a new mayor who realized there was a problem and realized that you couldn't just continue to punish them with corrupt cops issuing tickets and getting bribes. He hired a bunch of out-of-work mimes, like clowns, you know, and he put them at intersections all over the city. They had no power to like imprison you, no power to write a ticket. All they did was every time they saw someone jaywalk, they would just point it out. They would publicly shame them as mimes. And it turned out that this public shaming had a massive effect. It had a significant reduction of traffic accidents and even deaths. I think it's a funny story. What I don't like about it is I'm not a huge fan of public shaming for any reason. But it does speak to the fact that this is such a hardwired, powerful force for human beings. But sometimes the group isn't correct. There's nothing magical about group consensus that guarantees that it is a fact. It can just literally be consensus because no one's ever challenged it. It may be a collective illusion. The group may not actually believe this, but because you think the group does, your willingness to conform and your unwillingness to challenge what you think the group believes will actually contribute to leading the group astray. In fact, history is littered with examples of groups erring in massive ways, and there's an enormous cost socially. In the 60s, a majority of whites in the South no longer approved of segregation. They wanted desegregation and integration. However, They were fully convinced that most white Southerners still favored segregation. In other words, they were under this collective illusion, right? And because nobody was willing to challenge the belonging to their group, we allowed segregation to continue for many years because we were behaving in ways that were no longer consistent with our values. We are now in an environment where free expression, the ability to disagree openly, is under such threat by a vocal fringe that recognizes that the only way that they can get their way is to convince you that the majority believes something they don't and allow conformity bias to do the rest of the work. The cost to you of giving up your private values in the name of conformity is that you may actually come to believe the very thing that you don't agree with right now. We have to create the space that protects differences of opinion, that allows respectful disagreement in ways that are productive.
At Audible, you'll always find just the right thing. That's because Audible is for everyone.
How many illusions get punctured almost overnight when we realize, despite our differences, we have common ground as well? Ever since the 1930s, the bargain has been give up autonomy, give up any kind of control, give up the expectation that work would be fulfilling, and just do what we tell you to do. That system fundamentally distrusts people, and we're living with those systems today. But what's changed is people are no longer willing to be cogs. They're just not. Our priorities for work as an American public have changed. Work doesn't have to be a devil's bargain. Our most recent work is the American Workforce Index. We didn't just ask people what they wanted, we asked them to make difficult choices, trade-offs, across 60 different possible priorities for work. And not surprisingly, when we asked people what most people would say, they ranked a prestigious job as being the fifth most important priority for everybody else. To have your job be viewed as prestigious. That sounds like something people want, right? It's what we chase. But in private, it actually ranks number 55 out of 60. People want to work at places that give them free food and swag, and it's a prestigious organization where I have a prestigious title, where I can make a best friend at work. The things that we are told over and over again go into making a good work culture. In reality, those are some of the least prioritized things for the majority of workers in America today. To the extent that leadership of companies are under these illusions, they will continue to incentivize and design environments that are no longer a very good fit to the true trade-off priorities of the workforce. What people want is work to be a positive part of the rest of their life. They want to be trusted to be able to make decisions about how they do their work, and they are expecting more meaning and purpose in their work. The thing that will hold us back from a good life rather than just working to work are these illusions that keep pulling us back to conformity to something for which the group no longer actually values. We all don't have to quit our job and go somewhere else to find fulfillment, that it is closer than we think. And a lot of it is just subtle changes, particularly around giving more control to employees, trusting them more, listening to the things they care about. From an individual standpoint, it means having a conversation with your supervisor. Talk about what matters to you. Your silence will only diminish the willingness of the employer to actually make the changes that most people actually want to see. It's okay to have the conversation. Work absolutely can be a part of a fulfilling life. Most companies need to see that it is not risky, that you can trust employees, that you can work hard to create a good fit for more people, and that the result is not chaos, and it does not come at the cost of productivity and profit, just the opposite. So what do we prioritize moving forward as an American people? The American Aspirations Index was Honduras' effort to understand the private trade-off priorities that the public has for the future of the country. We simply asked participants whether they thought we were more divided or united as a country. Not surprisingly, 82% of respondents said we were more divided, and half of those people said we were extremely divided as a country. And yet, when we put those same exact people into this private opinion instrument, it tells a different story. If we take politics out of it and just look at demographics, regardless of your gender, race, geography, income, education level, we share 8 of the 10 top priorities we have in common. And they are nothing short of core American values. People care about individual rights.
It's snowing still. What's up? I'm probably gonna take a bath.
Huh?
I'm gonna take a bath. Freezing. Oh! 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 Okay.
What? What's that noise?
Yawning.
smells really bad. That smells really bad.
What does?
It smells like skunk. You can't mumble and walk away. I didn't hear you. Disgusting. Oh, son of a burger.
Because people are going to be are joining the social group, and in that group are laws to live by. And it's interesting, every social network, whether it's artifactual, internet, or people, the accountability is essential or the whole thing just falls apart.
My name is Roshan Goyal. I'm from India. I use technology to train people in my community to identify food adulteration. I rise to better health for all.
Intuition tests are sometimes called thought experiments. More often they're called, but they're not really formal arguments. They're stories that people think through. In fact, I think they're similar to Aesop's fables, in that they're supposed to have a moral. They're supposed to teach us something. And what they do is they lead the audience to an intuition, a conclusion, where you sort of pound your fist on the table and you say, "Oh yeah, it's got to be that way, doesn't it?" And if it achieves that, then it's pumped the intuition that was designed to pump. These are persuasion machines, little persuasion machines that philosophers have been using for 12,000 years. One of my recent favorites, which I devised to jangle the nerves of neuroscientists who've been going around saying that neuroscience shows that we don't have free will. I think their reasons for saying that are ill-considered, and moreover, that what they're doing is apt to be mischievous and doing some real harm. So I concocted a little thought experiment, a little intuition pump, to suggest that. So this is the case of the nefarious neurosurgeon who treats a patient who has obsessive-compulsive disorder by inserting a little microchip in his brain, which controls the OCD, the obsessive-compulsive disorder. Now, there is such a chip. It's been developed in the Netherlands, and it works really quite well. That's science fact, but now here comes science fiction. So the neurosurgeon, after she's operated on the guy, sewed him all up. So, okay, your OCD is under control now. You'll be happy to learn. But moreover, our team here will be monitoring you 24/7. And we're going to be controlling everything you do from now on. You'll think you have free will. You'll think you're making your own decisions. But really, you won't have free will at all. Free will is an illusion that we will maintain while controlling you. Goodbye. Have a nice life. Sends it out the door. Well, he believes her. A shiny lab, lots of degrees, diplomas, and all that. So, what does he do? Well, thinking he doesn't have free will anymore, he gets a little self-indulgent, a little bit aggressive, a little negligent in how he decides what to do. And pretty soon, by indulging some of his worst features, he's got himself in trouble with the law. He's arrested, he's put on trial, and at the trial he says, "But Your Honor, I don't have free will. I'm under the control of the team at the neurosurgery clinic." I say, "What's this?" And they call the neurosurgeon to the stand. They said, "Did you tell this man that you were controlling his every move? He didn't have free will?" He says, "Yeah, I did, yeah. But I was just messing with his head. I was just a joke. I didn't mean to believe it." Now, right there, I think we can stop and take a deep breath and say, well, she did something really bad. That was really, she really harmed that man. In fact, her little joke telling him that actually accomplished, not disabled him. By telling him he didn't have free will, she pretty much turned his free will off and turned him into a morally incompetent person. Now, if we agree that she did a bad thing, if nobody recommends people play jokes like this, what are we to say about the neuroscientists who are telling the public every day, we've shown in our neuroscience labs that nobody has free will? I think if the neuroscientists recognize that what my imaginary neurosurgeon did was irresponsible, they should think seriously about whether it's irresponsible of them to make these claims about free will. And it's not just a fantasy. Vos and Schooler, in an important paper which has been replicated in several different ways, set up an experiment really to test this with college students who were given two texts. One was a text, they were both from Francis Crick's book, The Astonishing
Get smarter, faster. New videos every week from the world's biggest thinkers.
Le désodorisant Dove 0% à lumière est différent. Avec 48 heures de fraîcheur et un quart d'hydratant. Le désodorisant Dove 0% à lumière avec une protection durable contre les odeurs qui est douce pour la peau.
Science Festival is so great. My name is John Hockenberry. First of all, I'm the college dropout news guy who's going to hang out with notable physicists tonight. Perfect for this job. Oh my God. How did I get here? But seriously, we think of this season as a World Science Festival. It's the beginning of June. The weather starts to get great. Tonight at Brooklyn Bridge Park, it's supposed to be one of the best viewing nights in New York. Nights in New York, so I urge you to do that. Clear night, everybody's out, and it's kind of like prom season. We think the World Science Festival as the prom for all the scientists who didn't get any dates, didn't know there was a prom. And I actually polled our panel tonight. 3 clearly did not go to the prom, didn't want to talk about it, and 1 didn't remember at all. You can figure out who was who. I'm actually perfect for this. Inadvertently helped to solve one of the most serious problems in physics back in the 1970s. I was on a team that helped to do that. I was enrolled at the University of Chicago as a graduate, and I was top science section, basically science. And it was taught by a protege named Fran, one of the Nobel laureates at the University of Chicago. and thereby help to solve a very serious problem in physics of physicists. So, and a lot of the panelists tonight are possibly very so, talk about and listen to one of the most exciting, fascinating, also difficult physics and two of those leaders, one
Well, it sounds like you want to treat it like a legal product.
Or a better way for it, which is just decriminalize it.
This looks like debate. It's illegal.
That's not.
It's not. Yes, these two advocates fundamentally disagree about major policy issues.
I support the legalization and regulation of cannabis products. I go see things.
They're just going to show up and find out. That's how these things usually go. No. Watch people argue, judging content, their style. Telling the truth. So we wanted to try something different. We asked Paul and Gary to send us 5 facts about cannabis legalization that our opponent conceived are true. They fact-checked each other, we fact-checked them too. And after going back and forth on the exact phrasing, we landed on 6. Do you both agree that these are true?
Yes. Yes, I do.
They'll each present their facts and get to respond to the other's facts with the Okay? National polls consistently show that a majority of the American public support legalizing marijuana. In 1969, the minority supported legalization. Today, it's nearly 70%. As more states have adopted legalization, support among the public has risen in parallel. There's no buyer's remorse.
My footnote to that would be these polls often give what we believe is to be a false dichotomy of choice. If I have to choose between arrest and incarceration and legalization, I'm going to choose legalization as well. Legal a little deeper, and there's some national polls from Emerson that show that support for legalization falls well below 50% when people are presented with other options, such as decriminalization and the medicinal use of cannabis.
Well, let's talk about those polls, Will. Even when you provide more choices, the most popular choice is legalizing marijuana by adults.
My name is Will Jones. I'm the Director of Community Engagement and Outreach at Smart Approaches to Marijuana. I really believe that we can explore better policy options when it comes to marijuana policy than either criminalization or commercialization. Decriminalization removes penalties for the personal possession and use of marijuana. Legalization and commercialization would allow for businesses to market and sell marijuana. So that's the primary difference between the two. A recent study reported higher rates of fatal car crashes in states that had legal recreational marijuana. We have to look at what are all the areas of society and of public health and safety that are going to be impacted through legalization and commercialization.
In fact, the study you cited looked at a subset of states. Even the authors of the studies acknowledged it made nothing to do with the change in the status of marijuana at all. That there's a number of different confounders. Fortunately, we have real-world experience in this country. Reducing rates of drunk driving, I am confident that we can continue to reduce rates of drunk driving.
When you commercialize something, you have advertising, you have marketing, that increases use. That's what it's supposed to do. When you have more people using, that percentage of people that use it responsibly is going to represent a larger number of people.
Do we know whether use of marijuana goes up after legalization?
It tends to go up in people that are about 26, and so, yes.
The vision here is that we can craft policy with marijuana where we don't create something that creates a negative public health impact that we then have to address with massive campaigns afterwards.
My name is Paul Matano. I always believe strongly in civil rights. In a world that doesn't just accept alcohol, but celebrates the use of alcohol, it is unjust to be ruining people's lives over their use of a plant. Police in the United States still make hundreds of thousands of low-level marijuana arrests every year. Over 90% of those arrests are for simple possession, and the results of these arrests are significant. People lose their jobs, people lose their professional licensure, their rights to vote, to possess a gun, subsidize housing. In some states, they even lose the right to adopt a child. And those arrested disproportionately are young people, poor people, and people of color.
To anyone struggling with their phone bill, Text Now is here to help. Get a real phone number and stay connected. So I agree 100% that there is systemic inequality and injustice in the way that the enforcement of marijuana laws has been carried out in our country. But when we look at the data from states that have legalized, we see that systemic inequality in law enforcement, even around the laws of legalization, continues to exist. We still continue to see disparities.
Absolutely. Nobody ever said legalizing cannabis was going to end systemic racism or even racism in policing, but it certainly removes a major tool from that toolbox. And we've seen in states that have legalized, total arrests for marijuana drop significantly.
A 2017 survey found that 81% of marijuana business owners in the U.S. are white. This is a huge contrast
concern is that the placement of marijuana businesses is disproportionately in communities of color, just like we see with liquor stores.
We all want to see greater inclusion in the commercial marijuana industry. Of course, one of the reasons we don't have that diversity now is because the federal law treats cannabis as a Schedule I controlled substance, which means that banks and other financial institutions will not provide lending, will not provide loans to these would-be entrepreneurs to allow them to get their foot in the door. In fact, we have a potential fix, the Safe Banking Act. And your organization, Will, opposes that change in federal policy, which would help remedy this very situation.
Yeah, and I think that's because the Safe Banking Act would open the floodgates to huge tobacco companies and alcohol companies totally taking over the industry. And it's a great idea that we want to have smaller entrepreneurs get into this, but we know how business works in the US. We know how capitalism works on multiple fronts. We're going to continue to see this inequality exist.
Decriminalization leaves the unregulated marketplace intact, and it continues to perpetuate police interaction with the community.
It shouldn't have to perpetuate law enforcement. I think that we can craft decriminalization in a way that completely removes it from the criminal justice system and treats it more as a health issue. I think like Portugal has done a great job at destigmatizing use and for people that have problematic use to have services provided for them.
When you say that decriminalization perpetuates law enforcement contact with marijuana users and sellers, can you explain why that would be? If it's not a crime, why are the police involved?
Because marijuana is illicit, which means it's contraband. So if the police encounter somebody possessing or using cannabis, they have a legal responsibility to interact, to seize that cannabis. They also can continue to search individuals, pull them over, frisk them because they claim they smelled cannabis. Because again, cannabis itself is an illicit substance, not illegal.
And if a decriminalization law allows for that, then it's a poorly crafted decriminalization law.
Will, it sounds like you want Washington, D.C. People can possess marijuana, they can grow marijuana, but there's no regulated commercial market for people to obtain marijuana. And that's why we have unregulated shops gifting marijuana products, selling unregulated products. Is that a preferable policy to one where the commercial market is licensed and regulated?
I do think it's preferable, but I think that is because the shops came into place with the understanding that eventually it would be commercialized. Even more ideally, we create a new world, a new concept where it's like, hey, grow this yourself, or if you want to have it and share it with friends, do that. But this is not something that we're going to allow industries to sell. Big tobacco and alcohol companies have invested billions of dollars into the cannabis industry and are lobbying for legalization at the federal and state levels. And this is especially concerning because we know the track record that these companies have of addiction for profit, whether we're talking about alcohol or the tobacco industries. It raises some concerns for public health that I think are very important.
Certainly, there are commercial interests, but to imply that they are the ones driving this train is simply disingenuous. This is an issue that was largely pushed on the grassroots level 20, 30 years ago, and it remains the grassroots level that's pushing this issue today. Not corporations, not big business, but in fact, the people.
Whoever has pushed this for 20 years, at the end of the day, there's big tobacco and alcohol companies standing by, ready to profit off of that, and that's a big concern.
I think Will's proposed solutions, policies like decriminalization, don't go far enough. Because at the end of the day, if we don't want criminal entrepreneurs being the ones providing cannabis, if we want purity of products, if we want products that are labeled and regulated, then we have to have legalization. Because we can't impose regulations and rules on a decriminalized substance.
What this discussion has showed is that we need to move past the punitive policies that we've had for marijuana in the past years in our country, while still avoiding the excesses of commercialization. What you see from continued habitual use for heavy users, that's where you start to see the negative
public health costs, whether that's on driving, whether that's on mental health, whether that's on youth use. We have to move forward in a way that isn't going to allow for the exploitation of vulnerable communities by addiction for profit companies.
Let's cut. So that's it. That's our take on a debate. Big thanks to Paul Armentano and Will Jones for participating in this experiment. If there are other topics you'd like to see, please let us know in the comments.